Hi guys, welcome back to another video with Pratham Test Prep. This is your host Sanjeet Bhatia again with a new video on your legal current affairs for CLAT and AILET 2022 and 2023. As you know, on every Monday we discuss the legal current affairs that have happened during the week. So these are the legal current affairs. As you all might know that there are a lot of world tensions going on. So we will be discussing a little bit about Russia and Ukraine also in this session. And also make sure that you don't forget to hit on the like, share, and subscribe button. That's the basic that you have to always do. Don't forget to hit on the like button at least, right? And if you are not a part of our Telegram channel, do make sure that you subscribe to our Telegram channel. It is under the name of CLAT@Pratham, and you can find all the free updates there. And also you can search us on Instagram and also on Facebook. Now, coming to the first legal affair for the day, that is the identity of juvenile is not to be disclosed. That is what the Allahabad High Court has said, and reminds its registry that they has reiterated that the identity of a juvenile or child in conflict with law must not be disclosed, and the court has directed its registry to redact the name of the juvenile accused in the present case from the entire record, right? So that's what they are trying to control the identity of the minors, because their entire life is dependent on such things. So definitely they are trying to protect them also. Now, Justice Sanjay Kumar Pachauri has given his observation, and you can see, quote unquote, what the court has said is the identity of the juvenile in the present matter has been disclosed in impugnant judgment and order which violates the right to privacy. As you all know, that right to privacy is a fundamental right. So the court has also said that it takes away the right to privacy and confidentiality, okay, of the juvenile against the law laid down by the Supreme Court in the case of Shilpa Mittal versus NCT of Delhi, wherein it was held that the identity of the juvenile should not be disclosed. So you can see that the court has taken the help of an old judgment while giving the current judgment, right? So you can see that this is the ratio decidendi, right? So the ratio decidendi, we've seen that they are carrying forward the judgment. If they have similar facts, they can also quote those judgments in the current judgments that they're giving. Okay, so Justice Sanjay Kumar Pachauri has observed this, and you can see that the identity of the juvenile is not to be disclosed. This is what the Allahabad High Court has reminded its own registry. Now, coming to the next case for the day, that is that the preventive detention is based on suspicion or anticipation and not on a proof, right? So someone would have asked for a proof. So the court has said this, and this is the J&K and Ladakh High Court upholds a detention order. Now, the court observed that our constitution guarantees various freedoms and personal liberty to all persons in our republic. However, the constitutional guarantee of such freedoms and liberty is not meant to be abused and misused. Okay, so the court also has the view that the preventive detention is based on suspicion and anticipation and not on proof, right? No one has to prove to put someone into preventive detention. They can also go on if they have the suspicion or they anticipate that there is something going wrong, then definitely court can take those steps. Now, there was a bench of Tashir Afstan observed that while upholding the detention order that was passed against Farhat Mir, preventive detention to be prevent the detainee from smuggling timber, and has been directed to be lodged in the central jail in Jammu, right? So that's what the court has said, and also they have done it on the basis of suspicion and anticipation, not on basis of any proofs. Now, coming to the next case for the day, that is that the child born out of a POSCO crime, a victim is the term that is being used for it, as defined under section 2AA of CRPC. Now, there was a reducing of the life sentence that was awarded to a rape victim convict to 10 years. The Mumbai High Court directed him to pay the compensation to the child that was born out of his illicit acts, observing that the baby was also a victim that was contemplated under the section 2AA in the CRPC, right? So you can see that there was a minor victim which was being affected because of this. So that's why he was a point of the POSCO crime. So the baby will also be considered as a victim in this case. Right now, the 15-year-old rape victim had died 4 days after the childbirth in 2015. So definitely the child is also being considered as a victim, and the child welfare has a paramount importance and has directed the accused Ramesh Tukaram Vemkar to pay the compensation of 2 lakhs. Right now, this was a division bench of Justice Sadhna S. Jadhav and Prithviraj K. Chauhan. So now the court said that we have given our thoughtful consideration to the entire facts and the circumstances of the cases. No doubt that the victim is no more. However, now the welfare of the child born out of this illicit relationship between the victim girl and the appellant would be of paramount importance. As abundant caution has, as well as in the point of view of public policy, law cannot afford to allow such consequences befalling an innocent child. Right, so the child hasn't done anything, he was just born out of that illicit crime of that person. Now only because he was abandoned by a father, that was the appellant. Right, so he is being told to pay a compensation of rupees 2 lakhs because the child is considered under the definition of victim under the section 2WA of the criminal procedure code. Right, so you can see that the judges also take in consideration the case by case observations. They take in consideration how the case is, what the material facts are, how can they provide the best suited solution for such a case. Okay, so always whenever the students also ask us in the class that they come up with hypothetical situation that what would happen in such scenario, so there are a lot of facts and circumstances that the court also takes into consideration. So when you are asking such questions, you have to see that these kinds of cases has a long way of history, and they involve a lot of types of crimes, that involve a lot of types of sections and subsections, and you can get a lot of answers in one cases. So definitely there are a lot of researches that you can undergo. If you have any point in your on your mind, you can definitely find it out anywhere and you'll find a case on it. Okay, so that is definitely possible. Now coming to the next part is that the properties that are given as डाउरी. राइट, हमने डाउरी के बारे में बहुत सुना है, हमारी कंट्री में बहुत कॉमन प्रैक्टिस है. राइट, now the properties that were given as dowry to be included in the partition suit that was instituted by daughter under Hindu Succession Act. Right now, the Karnataka High Court has held that the properties which had been given as dowry or otherwise at the time of the marriages of the daughter would be amendable for partition, and the same will have to be included in the suit for partition instituted by the daughter. अगर daughter को कोई भी property दी गई है as a dowry, तो उसको भी साथ में लिया जाएगा जब एक हिंदू सक्सेशन का वो कोई भी partition suit आगे लेके आएगी. That means when she wants her part in the property, then obviously her property that she's given there will also be a part of that partition. Now, in a suit of partition, the properties which had been given as dowry, that's what the court has said, or otherwise at the time of marriage of the Hindu daughter, plaintiff claiming a right of partition under section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act would be amendable for partition, and the same would have to be included in a suit of partition. So that's what the court has straightly said, and that's what the daughters would have to do if they are coming with any suit under the section 6 of the Hindu Partition Succession Act. Now coming to the next part is that the enactment of the law is a sovereign function. That's what the Delhi High Court has said, and they dismissed the plea for the implementations of the Whistleblower Protection Act of 2014. Okay, there was a plea that was filed in the court that was a public interest litigation seeking upon the parliament to bring in force the Whistleblower Protection Act of 2014. Now there was a division bench of Chief Justice D.N. Patel and Justice Jyoti Singh who observed that the enactment of law and bringing in the force of law is a sovereign function and has to be performed by the parliament or the state legislation under the constitution, as the case may be. Hence, no direction, much less a writ of mandamus, can be issued in this regard by the courts. Okay, law is nothing but the desire of the people, and the parliament and the state legislature represent the desires of the people. So they have the entire power to bring it and enact the law and bring it into force. If the parliament thinks this is not the proper time to bring in the law in the force, then the court cannot order the parliament to bring the law. Okay, so that's what the court has said during this PIL that was filed in the court regarding the Whistleblowers Protection Act of 2014. Now coming to the next part, that is that there are a lot of things going on in the world. There's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. Russia is trying to take over the territory of Ukraine, and there are a lot of debates that you will hear online regarding all of these things. But US have put some sanctions on Russia. As you know, that US is also the biggest donator in the United Nations and also a part of the NATO, and and US has a lot of history with a lot of wars all across the world. Now, the US has criticized the Russia's decision to recognize Donetsk and Luhansk's independence and authorizing of the development of the Russian troops under the guise of maintaining peace in the region. Right? So you know that the Russians have said that there are some separatist movements going on in Ukraine. Now the sanctions has been made by the US as targeting the sovereign debt of the Russia and two financial institutions of the country, which include the Military Bank of Russia. Now these sanctions were placed means that Russia will no longer be able to raise money from Western as well as the European markets, right? So they are trying to stop them from raising a lot of money in these markets now. Now coming to why were these sanctions placed? What was the reason? Okay, so the Russian government has recognized the LPR and DPR as independent regions and signed an agreement with them to establish a military presence in the eastern part of Ukraine. Doing so has made US term this agreement as the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine and has placed sanctions on Russia. Right? So that was the basic reason why the sanctions were placed by United States. Now, the other sanctions that were placed by the United States were the following: the agreement of Russia with the LPR and DPR along with the US. Other European nations have placed sanctions. The approval of Nord Stream 2, a US $11 billion gas pipeline across the Baltic Sea owned by Russia, has been halted in Germany. Okay, the UK has placed sanctions against 5 Russian banks and 3 Russian billionaires and has threatened if Russia continues to attack Ukraine, it will be designated as Para Strait. Okay, so like they're trying to force Russia to stop them from all the things that they're doing to Ukraine right now. And there have been a lot of sanctions that have been put on Ukraine also. Now, what is a Paria state? Now, the Paria state, also known as a global or international Paria country that is considered to be an outcast globally. Okay, so they will put them into isolation, and even invasion may be placed on a Paria state by other countries who finds its existence, actions, and policies to be unacceptable. Right? So there are a lot of actions that are being happening on the world front right now. A lot of action in the Russian and the Soviet part. There is a war going on in the middle of Europe. So there can be a lot of things that can be made up from what is going on in the world right now. Now, about a little about the Russian and the Ukrainian crisis that I can tell you is that since 2013, the tensions between Russia and Ukraine have escalated over the trade and landmark deal, okay, that was considered by the Ukraine with the European Union. Now, in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea on the excuse of protection of its national integrity. Russia asked Ukraine to join an EAEC, a free trade agreement that was established in 2015 and which was refused by Ukraine. Since then, Ukraine is inching towards NATO, which is opposed by Russia, and Russia considers to be an expansion by NATO, which they say will affect the borders of Russia. And all of these things have led to such a bloodbath that is going on in the middle of Europe right now. Okay, so these were some points and some news that you can take into consideration if you are following the news for last weeks. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something about the issues that were happening all across the country and the world this week. So don't forget to hit on the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe, and also make sure to hit on that bell icon for regular updates that you can get on this channel, right? Thanks for joining this live video. Hope you enjoyed your time, and also don't forget to come on our next video on Wednesday at the same place and the same time. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Take care, and don't forget to wear your mask and use your hand sanitizers, and also maintain social distancing for your own protection. Okay? Bye-bye guys. Take care of yourself. Keep smiling and keep studying hard.